SCP-3199. SCP-3199, also known as Humans Refuted, is an extremely violent, horrid-looking, man-sized chicken that's known to attack humans on sight. It can be described as a mix of silky chicken, chimpanzee, muscle, and my channel logo, which is an egg-cellent way to describe it. This thing is 6 feet tall, hairless, and constantly sweating egg juice. It's Keter class because, yes, it's hard to kill, but mostly because it can't stop breeding. When you kill it, it leaves behind a surprise. One fully loaded egg-laying nightmare. When stressed, it lays massive rubbery eggs through its throat. These eggs are covered in acidic goo, and once laid, do one thing. Sit there until the temperature is just right and hatch a new 3,199, which also lays eggs, which also hatches. You get the idea. They lay eggs in any unoccupied space. Closet, egg, elevator shaft, egg, empty coffee mug. Hope you like protein. The eggs are nearly indestructible, resistant to pressure, blades, acid, and most logical attempts at science. Containment involves submerging them in hardened acrylic blocks inside an acid-resistant steel room, with CCTV watching 24/7. There's even a backup perimeter zone just in case one starts twitching. If they breach, the site floods with sedative-laced distilled water, because apparently they mistake liquid for occupied space and stop laying eggs in it. These things aren't random. They're a mirror. 3,199s replicate endlessly, filling every bit of space, with no clear reason other than because they can. Remind you of anything? Turns out, humanity might not be the contrast, just the test run. SCP-1128. SCP-1128, also known as the Aquatic Horror, manifests as a gigantic, enormous marine predator to anyone exposed to a full description of it. This entity is classified as Euclid and doesn't live in the ocean, and it lives in your head. I'm not saying it's swimming around in your brain, but the second someone gives you the full description, either written, spoken, or visually depicted, you're basically cooked. After exposure, people develop a fun little habit, refusing to touch water. Because they know any pool, pond, or suspiciously deep puddle becomes a trapdoor. If you're unlucky enough to get wet, you don't just drown. You become an actual mermaid. No, kidding, that's another story. Instead of growing a tail, you get yanked into a personal hell dimension, a deep, alien ocean, where SCP-1128 is already swimming, already hunting. Basically, thalassophobia's final boss. Some come back, screaming, gasping, puking seawater like a fire hydrant. One guy reappeared, missing half a leg and still apologizing. Others don't come back at all. And the survivors? You'll wish they didn't, as they can't seem to shut up about what they saw. And if they get too detailed, now you have the curse, too. Containment is a disaster. All records are shredded, survivors are memory wiped, and if you so much as describe it in charades, that's a full lockdown. So now that we've got that out of the way, here's a full description of what the creature looks like. SCP-01. SCP-01, also known as When Day Breaks, is the sun, except now it's a Apocalyptic class, which is Foundation code for we lost, no fix, no reset button, just sunrise and ruin. The second visible light hits a living thing, it liquefies like butter in a microwave. Skin peels, bones fold, organs slide out, and you stay alive through all of it. You become SCP-01A, a sentient skin puddle with working vocal cords and way too many emotions. They don't attack, they just sort of wander, drip, and whisper things like, "Come with me!" Eventually, they fuse into one big slow-moving meat blob that's still somehow trying to hug people. Kinda looks like that girl from The Substance. It's upsetting. Moonlight triggers it too. A single shaft through a crack in a bunker door is enough. Suddenly, the entire world smells like barbecue. It's less global warming and more global slow roast. You used to worry about skin cancer? Nice. Now you are the tumor. Containment is mostly wishful thinking. The Foundation's tucked itself underground like a hermit crab. A few sites survive, but everyone else is soup. Some idiots are still planning a space launch. Hope they packed sunscreen. So if someone outside says, "It's beautiful out," do not go up. That's not your friend. That's something soft and melting and wearing your friend's voice like a mask. SCP-017. SCP-017, also known as Shadow Person, is a Keter-class humanoid made entirely of shadow. Roughly the size of a midget, it just floats there, silent, shapeless, and vaguely pissed off at the concept of light. No eyes, no mouth, just a blurry outline like someone vaped a person into existence. It doesn't move unless something casts a shadow on it. That's the switch. And this thing absolutely despises shadows. Why? Who knows? Might just hate competition, doesn't matter. If your shadow touches it, you're gone, instantly. No scream, no gore, just clean deletion. It resets like nothing happened and waits for the next idiot to forget the rules. It doesn't walk, doesn't twitch, doesn't even blink. You could tap dance in front of it and it wouldn't care, unless you block the light. That's when it attacks. Containment is basically one big light box. A glass cell wrapped in floodlights from every angle, with zero room for shadows. If one bulb fails, you've got a body count. Everything's automated. Nobody's allowed inside unless they're cool with being a science experiment. Where the victims go is still unknown. If the lights fail, it moves. And when it moves, someone disappears. There's no warning, just absence. SCP-3889. SCP-3889, also known as the greatest fisherman who ever lived, is Henry Holland Hank McAllister, a fisherman born in 1849 who somehow still exists, still fishes, and still hasn't aged out of ruining everyone's day. Officially, he's just a leathery old man with a rod and tackle box. Unofficially, he's a fishing disaster magnet, much worse than the dudes who pose with fish on Tinder. He shows up along the U.S. East Coast, anywhere from Maryland to North Carolina, armed and unfazed by physics. At random intervals, he initiates a 3889 TEHOM event by casually casting a line into brackish water. Minutes or hours later, he reels in something that should not exist. Past catches include a skyscraper-sized corpse octopus made of human remains, a glowing sea blob that leaked radiation, and once just a normal baskin shark. Good news. Hank disappears after each event. Bad news. His catches don't. Foundation naval response teams have used everything from machine guns to tactical nukes. Doesn't always work. Henry can't be contained. Attempts result in him dropping some cryptic one-liners like, "You can't bottle a squall, son," or "Only fool catch takes fool bait," before vanishing. In his place appears a random Foundation agent, confused, mildly traumatized, and accessorized with something humiliating like a bobber up the nose or sinkers in their pants. The Foundation officially labels him as local folklore. Because yeah, that's easier. So if you ever hear, "Tide's right, might snag something awful today," run, or you're about to be the bait. SCP-354. SCP-354 is a stationary puddle of red liquid in the middle of nowhere, Canada. Not blood, but close enough to make you uncomfortable. It has no visible bottom, gets thicker the deeper you go, and yes, dumb souls have tried to find the bottom. Spoiler, they haven't returned. So yeah, turns out Canada isn't all polite mousse and maple syrup. At first it was classified as Euclid, until it started spitting out random stuff. We're talking six-legged murder bats, humanoid tanks, other SCPs, and one completely normal guy who politely asked where he was. The Foundation shot him anyway, just in case. Honestly, fair. Most of what comes out is hostile, fast, and deeply offended by the concept of walls. Imagine it spits out Canadian singer Justin Bieber mid-baby. Not saying it happened, just saying if it did, everyone would have just nodded and kept their guns up. Originally, the Foundation built a little observation shack nearby. That shack got shredded. Then they built a fortress. That also got shredded. Eventually, someone thought, let's just drain the thing. That plan ended with everyone on site going feral and nuking the facility. So now they just leave it alone. Politely, containment is elaborate. Area 354 has been rebuilt around the pool. It's staffed with armed response units, researchers, and D-Class on monster wrangling duty. No one goes near it unless O5 signs off. And even then, it's mostly for study or figuring out how to delete the thing entirely. The red pool doesn't act like a portal. It's like an itchy throat. And one day, it's going to cough up something too big to stop. SCP-169. SCP-169, also called the Leviathan, is a Keter-class anomaly. That is, technically speaking, the size of a problem you can't run from. It's not a monster in the ocean. It is the ocean, or at least a good chunk of it. Early explorers thought its back was just a regular island chain. People fished off it, had picnics, took selfies. No one realized they were setting up lawn chairs on the crusty shell of a gigantic prehistoric arthropod that makes Godzilla look like a little garden lizard. Estimates put it somewhere between 2,000 and 8,000 kilometers long. And I'm not exaggerating, that's a real guess. It's possibly older than bones, and somehow it's still alive, still breathing. Hopefully it's sleeping, though, because when it shifts, even slightly, tsunamis happen, earthquakes happen. Imagine if this guy ever farts. We would probably lose an entire continent. Containment doesn't exist. The Foundation's best plan is pretend it's not there. Any satellite that catches movement, image wiped, civilian ships rerouted, or let's just say, lost at sea. They even invented a fake endangered bird population just to keep tourists away. Top-tier gaslighting. So, if SCP-169 ever wakes up fully, there won't be a war. There won't even be a scream. Just new maps, and fewer people to read them. SCP-3812. SCP-3812, also known as the voice behind me, used to be a guy named Sam Howell. Died in 1996. Buried, mourned, case closed, until he pulled a full resurrection arc and casually floated into the sky. Since then, he's gone from random dead guy to what's probably the most unstable, overpowered reality bender in Foundation records. Keter class, obviously. Not because they are containing him, because they aren't, but because they are running out of ways to pretend they understand what he's doing. He has schizophrenia, not the metaphorical kind, the cosmic system-level kind. He can't tell what's real, so he changes the world until it matches what he thinks is real. Sometimes that's harmless. Sometimes it's a building collapsing, a time loop snapping in half, or a city that suddenly never existed. The Foundation doesn't know how many people have been erased. They only know it's happened more than once. Containment doesn't exist. Put him in a box, he deletes the box. Try to tranquilize him, he retroactively decides you were never aiming. The only protocol is tracking his location, currently drifting above the South Pacific, and minimizing damage when the next mental breakdown happens. He's not violent. but he's unstable, lonely, and completely removed from the world he used to be part of. And when the disconnect becomes too much, reality folds to keep him comfortable. SCP-3812 doesn't exist in reality anymore. He edits it when he remembers, deletes it when he forgets. Either way, we're just collateral damage he hasn't noticed yet. All right, folks, that concludes the list. Let me know in the comments who you would survive and how. Thanks for watching and stay safe.